Okay, I'm hoping something. I'm hoping this is the last 10 minutes. Frankly, it's a topic that it just got so much juice. We could go, and you will. I mean, once you jump into the water, you'll want to swim. Okay, so the Neuro VIZR Experience, which is the topic of this short series, is sensory, as I've explained. Part of what's nice about it is you really don't have to do anything except experience it. You know, give it your attention in the same way that you would like watch a movie, because in the movie you see things and you hear things. In this case, the comfortable, portable, affordable Neuro VIZR sits on your head. I mean, it's very pleasant. And there's a smartphone app that you use to control a few things. It's pretty straight ahead. The question might be in a broad sense, well, using brain engagement and the Neuro VIZR Experience, well, what's it good for? Neuroplastic sounds a bit technical. Well, let's frame it in maybe general categories. It can be used for wellness processes, consciousness expansion, exploration, creativity, performance, and why not entertainment as well, right? So depending on what is called the composition, I'll explain that just now, it has what technically is called a vector, a purpose, an expectation, a probability of outcome. And it's like physical exercise. Just because you do it once doesn't mean, well, that does that. It can be used for what I call help right now. However, neuroplastic change has a functional quality and then a physical quality, then an adaptive pattern quality. So it's very much like physical exercise. I mean, you're in a bad mood, you can go out and take a walk or a run and it can change your mood. Yeah. However, if you want to change your body, AKA change your brain, reinforcement, methodology, sustained process, and guess what? Your body will change. I mean, we have it happen negative. Oh, by the way, that's the bad news about neuroplasticity. You can also change your brain for the worse. I forgot to tell you that, right? It's a neutral process. So, you have to command it or lead it or guide it. The composition itself, the Neuro VIZR Experience, is truly engaging. I mean, to call it brain engagement is true objectively, but also subjectively. And there are going to be compositions that you prefer. You just kind of like, I love that one. And that was great, but not really so attracted. Why? Because we're all different. You can listen to a musical piece and love it, and somebody else listens and says, I really don't like that. Okay, here we are. This is a simple analogy of how a Neuro VIZR composition. By the way, they last 11 minutes. 11 minutes has a purpose. The 10-11 minute is pretty much the amount of time that the average person, the average brain, can stay engaged and focused. You may have noticed that these segments are about 10 minutes. Anyway, that in that 10, 11 minutes, it's 11 minutes technically, the whole show happens. It's the short story that is complete beginning to end. It doesn't have to be a 700-page novel. Okay, there's light, there's sound. Well, in brain entrainment, there's light and sound. Yeah, but. Okay. I'm going to leave technicalities aside. Think of it like a rock band. Okay? Four players, typical band. You've got a drummer, bass player, lead guitar, vocalist. Okay. In the Neuro VIZR Experience, the auditory composition, and it's not just beepity, beepity, beep. I do have to say a little bit, remind me about binaural, isochronic, and that, because everybody's like so bizarrely interested in binaurals all of a sudden. Anyway, that the sound is designed, composed in such a manner that it serves a purpose more or less like the drummer and the bass player. They hold it, they get the groove, they create the matrix of the song. And they're moving around in it, but they're the glue pretty much. You get that bass line going and the drummer's got his thing, his beat is there. So what that does is it liberates, in this case, the light. The sound is the drummer and the bass player. The light is like the lead guitar and the vocalist. They're liberated into almost unlimited expression, complexity. They can move in and out. As a matter of fact, if you were producing the piece, let's say you were naive, you never did it before, and you've got headsets, and you're listening to the track of the vocalist, and then you're listening to the track of the drummer. The vocalist is not trying to do what the drummer is doing, right? It doesn't like ba-ba-dee-ba-ba. It's not like that. As a matter of fact, you may not even recognize that the vocalist and the drummer are playing the same song until you hear all the instruments, until you hear the composition, which is something that you experience as a whole. And this is a fundamental difference in brain entrainment and brain engagement, is that it's a complex composition. The brain loves it. Why is music the way it is? Because that's the way the brain talks to itself. Music is brain talk. When you look at music, and there are different types, yes, you can have, rave, trance, going on, but then compare that to a complex symphony or a great jazz quartet. These are all elements and evidence of a powerful first language. Brain engagement uses first language dynamics that have elements of brain entrainment, plus other things called stability, instability, even fancy things called hidden determinants and strange attractors, conflicts, things that have been derived out of understanding how complex systems relate and interact with each other. That's brain engagement. And understand that at the end of the 11 minutes, the real process begins. It's like eating a meal. Enjoy the food. I love it. Tastes and colors and textures. And you've got to, unless you're IV, you've got to eat it. So the 11-minute sound light experience, the Neuro VIZR experience, is like eating. And it's going to be wow. When you finish eating is when the digestion begins. And after digestion, a period of time, that's when assimilation begins. The same thing with the Neuro VIZR experience. You can love it. I do. Certain compositions, I'm more attracted, but on different days. I drove in this morning, I live up in the mountains, and I put in some music, and it was like French cabaret, and I thought, oh man, where did I ever get this CD from? Then I put in some other stuff. There are needs. Your food appetite can be consistent for good nutrition, but you can also have variety. When you eat the experience, when you have the Neuro VIZR experience, 11 minutes of light and sound and composition, when it ends, and this is not because of Neuro VIZR, this is because of the brain, you're going to have a hypersensitive state for 1 or 2 hours. Technically, it's called hyperplasticity. So in that period of 1 to 2 hours, you can either reinforce the positive effects or work to decrease them by doing stupid things. So there is that period where you can maximize. Interestingly, about 8 hours later, it kind of opens the door again. A little less open, but it opens the door again. It's like, wow. And 24 hours after the experience, and even 48 hours after the experience, the brain, following circadian cycles, works to integrate this. That's where the exercise of the experience turns into the learning of the experience. So you physically move subjective experience, the firing, into the wiring of neuroplasticity. Can't wait. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.